Imagine waking up one morning to find that without lifting a finger, a deposit has appeared in your bank account. Not a loan, not a salary, just money, yours to use, however you see fit. No conditions, no expectations. A guarantee that no matter what happens, you'll never fall below a certain financial threshold. For some, this idea feels like a dream, an end to stress, an opportunity to pursue passions without fear of financial ruin. For others, it's a recipe for disaster, a system that could drain economies and strip away the very incentives that drive progress. And yet, across the world, this concept is gaining traction. Advocates argue that in an era of automation and artificial intelligence, where traditional jobs are disappearing, such a system may be not only desirable, but necessary. But what does this really mean? Could free money truly offer freedom? Or would it create a dependency that reshapes society? History has seen glimpses of similar ideas before. Ancient Rome provided grain handouts to citizens. The United States experimented with negative income tax programs in the 1960s. Even today, small-scale trials have been tested in places like Finland and Canada. The results? Surprising. So, is this a glimpse into our future, or a well-intentioned vision destined to collapse under its own weight? Before we can answer, we need to understand what universal basic income truly is, and what happens when it becomes a reality. If tomorrow you received a guaranteed income, would it change your life for the better, or would it change you in ways you never expected? For some, the idea of receiving money, with no strings attached, seems radical almost, too good to be true. But this concept isn't just theoretical, it has already been tested in real-world scenarios, and the results challenge many of the assumptions we take for granted. One of the earliest large-scale experiments happened in Canada in the 1970s, in a small town called Dauphin. For a period of 5 years, every low-income resident was guaranteed a minimum income. Many feared that people would stop working altogether, but something unexpected happened. Employment rates barely changed. Instead, high school completion rates increased, hospital visits declined, and overall well-being improved. Similar findings emerged decades later in Finland, where a more recent UBI trial found that recipients reported lower stress levels and higher life satisfaction. Yet most continued working. But not all results have been positive. In some experiments, UBI showed little to no impact on unemployment rates. And in places where funding wasn't sustainable, the program collapsed before long-term effects could be measured. Critics argue that while basic income might help individuals in the short term, it doesn't address deeper economic problems, rising costs of living, inflation, and job market shifts driven by automation. Still, these trials reveal something profound. People don't always respond to financial security in predictable ways. Some find new purpose when freed from financial stress. Others struggle to adapt to a life where survival is no longer the primary motivation. If universal basic income can provide stability, does it also change what it means to work? These small-scale tests offer intriguing glimpses into what might happen on a larger scale. But one crucial question remains: even if UBI improves lives, can it be sustained without overwhelming the economy? If money is given freely, where does it come from? Money doesn't come from nowhere. If every person were to receive a guaranteed income, the question is inevitable: who pays for it? And more importantly, can any economy sustain it? There are several proposed ways to fund universal basic income. One of the most common ideas is higher taxation, especially on the wealthy and large corporations. Advocates argue that companies benefiting from automation should help fund the very workers they replace. A proposed robot tax would take a portion of corporate savings from automation and redirect it into a basic income fund. But critics warn that this could slow down technological progress and even drive businesses to relocate, reducing overall economic growth. Another approach looks to natural resources. Countries like Norway and Alaska already distribute oil revenues to citizens, proving that wealth from shared assets can be redistributed. But what happens when those resources dry up? And could such a model work in countries without major natural reserves? Some suggest a more radical solution: government-issued digital currency. In this model, central banks could create money specifically for UBI without raising taxes. Yet this brings another problem: inflation. If everyone suddenly has more money to spend, prices could rise, eroding the value of that very income. But past experiments suggest inflation isn't a guaranteed outcome. In some cases, extra financial security allowed people to be more strategic with spending, keeping prices stable. The question of sustainability remains open. Funding models exist, but none come without consequences. Even if a system is financially viable, how would it change human behavior? If money is no longer a constant worry, would people become more productive or less motivated? Throughout history, work has. It has shaped identities, defined social status, and provided purpose. Some argue that financial security would unlock human potential. Freed from dead-end jobs, people might pursue innovation, creativity, and education. A world where work is optional could lead to an explosion of artistic and scientific advancements, as individuals focus on what they truly love rather than what simply pays the bills. The Renaissance flourished under systems that allowed thinkers and artists to focus on their crafts. Could UBI create a modern version of that cultural boom? But there's another side to consider. Many find meaning not in leisure, but in the structure and purpose that work provides. If employment were no longer essential, would people still strive for excellence? Or would society drift into stagnation? Studies suggest that while some individuals thrive under self-direction, others struggle without the external pressures of deadlines and responsibilities. Without the traditional rewards of effort, promotion, recognition, competition, what drives progress? And beyond the individual, what about the social fabric? Workplaces are not just economic hubs. They create relationships, communities, and hierarchies. If jobs disappear, how does society redefine success? Would a world without mandatory labor become more equal? Or would new forms of status emerge, dividing those who seek purpose through work from those who choose leisure? These questions lead to a deeper, more unsettling thought. Is work essential to human nature, or have we simply been conditioned to believe that it is? If UBI removes the pressure to earn a living, does it free us, or does it leave us searching for a new purpose? A world with universal basic income is no longer just a theoretical exercise. It is a decision waiting to be made. Advocates envision a society freed from financial anxiety, where individuals have the time and resources to explore their passions, innovate, and build a future unconstrained by economic survival. But critics warn of unintended consequences, an erosion of motivation, unsustainable economic burdens, and the potential for new social divides. History has shown that every major shift in economic structure brings both progress and challenges. The Industrial Revolution displaced millions, yet it also created new industries, new opportunities, and a world unimaginable to those who lived before it. Could universal basic income be the next great transformation? Or is it a utopian vision that overlooks the complexities of human nature and economic balance? The answer may not be simple. Perhaps the real question isn't whether UBI will work, but what kind of society we want to create. If we had the power to design an economy from scratch, would we still tie survival to labor? Or would we embrace a future where income is a right, not a privilege? The future of work, purpose, and economic security remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: whether by choice or by necessity, the conversation about universal basic income is far from over. As technology reshapes the world, societies will be forced to confront a fundamental question. Is universal basic income the key to freedom, or does it lead to a dependency we may not yet understand? This video has come to an end, but the discovery continues. Check out more content on the channel and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thank you for watching.